Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boys from For Those With Good Taste. I'm Matt. He's Lenny.
Hello.
And we're back, people. And we're pretty much talking about everything today. We're going to get a little bit chilly with some talk about the weather.
It's going to get a little warm because of the hot lava springs.
And then it's going to blow up like a volcano because we're going to get into some weirdness.
You could say that, Matt. But, you know, as we go out into the yonder, you have to kind of find your way home.
Oh, but sometimes it's tough.
Because there's
no way home.
There's just no way home.
Dude, and it's about time that we're going to go home, right, Len?
Yes, it's finally we're going to get the chance to talk about a little bit of Spider-Man here. And I actually saw Scream this weekend, so I'll fill you in on the deets on that one.
Yeah, and I've been screaming about it ever since. And we'll wrap it up, as always, with a little bit of fight talk about UFC 270, big heavyweight fight, small flyweight fight. We're going to discuss it all today.
So make sure to hit the like button, comment, tell a friend, and stick around, because we'll see him where, Matt?
We'll see him on the other side. But first, you got to strap in, strap up, get ready to have some damn fun, people, because it's going down right now. Bon voyage.
For those with good taste.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boys from For Those With Good Taste. In the left corner, it's your boy, L-Dog, Len Dizzle, the Len Man. I've never heard any of those nicknames for myself.
I just started smacking my ass like Billy Gunn.
In the blue corner, he's an ass man, Matt.
I just started shooting up the place like Billy Gunn, dude. That'd be fire.
It's really fun to be back here today, buddy.
It feels so good to be back, man. This is something that I've been looking forward to because, honestly, I came out of the weekend feeling like things are kind of going downhill, buddy.
Downhill?
Yeah.
Downhill.
Yeah, not only
skiing.
Yeah, not only has the weather just been completely up its own ass, but the Patriots got knocked out of the playoffs, dude.
Ugh, I wasn't.
I know. We didn't want to talk about it.
No, dude, that's it. What are you even talking about? That happened so long ago. I don't remember that.
I'm still kind of reeling from it.
It's also really funny that we're like, let's start our highly popular. Oh, we didn't give ourselves a pat on the back. Now that I'm thinking about how popular, we don't come on here and celebrate ourselves nearly enough.
Oh, got it.
We are the number 2 wrestling podcast in Nicaragua.
Dude, I don't want to say that I knew we'd start off blowing up in Latin America, and it just took a little while you know how they say things trickle down? We were waiting for things to trickle up. We got to start and blow up in South America. We're hitting Mexico next, buddy.
It's amazing that we've cracked number 2 on a chart somewhere, and we literally don't talk about wrestling.
No, it's okay. We're hoping to get our new intern out of Nicaragua. I've said that's been happening.
I hear the work's cheaper over there.
Yeah,
Less per hour, dude.
I wasn't going to bring that up that's the reason why we were doing it,
nice.
But it's difficult to find good help these days.
I don't know if he's going to pay taxes. But yeah, we're going to be on our highly successful podcast. Thank you to everybody out there, especially our fan base in Nicaragua.
Muchas gracias.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, we're killing it out here.
But we're just going to start small talk. We're just going to be like, how's the weather today?
Well, no, I already said the weather's up its own ass. I feel like whoever's controlling the weather, it's like when you control music and you're like, you know what, I'm having a weird day. I don't have a specific playlist. Let's hit shuffle on this bitch. Weather guy's just like, don't know what's happening today.
Oh, like that, yeah. I mean, we could spend hours on meteorologists, especially like where we live in New England. It's like, I think California, it's like, is it going to rain finally or not?
Yeah.
Is what they worry about. Some of them get snow, like northern, I suppose, but...
With Florida, it's like, we know it's going to rain. We're just not sure what time of day it's going to rain, but we'll get through
There's
it.
365 days in a year. It's going to rain at least 295 of those. So if we just get lucky the other 70 or so, it's like, that's pretty dope.
We're just going to sweat our balls off. But up here, I should say, it's more like, hey, maybe bring a jacket, a sweater, an umbrella, if you've got one, and maybe some skates.
Just have it all in the back of your truck.
You know that you're going to need a brush and a shovel, for sure.
So this week, we're really just... This is an easy week in New England. We were blessed with like high winds and some rain.
Yeah.
But it was like a pretty gross morning. Was it yesterday morning or the day before?
When it was like -5?
Well, the cold.
The wind?
But then the rain was yesterday. Yeah. So there's all these storms. There's the storm that we got, though, affected Canada bad.
That's how? Science?
Well, fun fact.
About to lay some facts.
Weather doesn't just start over like magically over your head. Like generally it comes from somewhere. So
I don't believe that at all.
like it'll travel from the ocean, or like it'll come from Florida, or in this instance, like it worked its way down from Canada to us, or vice versa.
What if there's travel restrictions where you are?
They don't need a visa, or
Mother Nature doesn't give a damn.
Yeah. They like there's no clear needed for Mother Nature.
Well, no, Mother Nature's been off her fucking wits, bro.
Yeah. So she dropped a fuck ton of snow, and by fuck ton, it was like 30 to 60 centimeters. So if we're doing the math on that one, it's about 16 of my penis.
I was trying to figure out the measurement because I'm not good with centimeters. I was like, how do I convert this bitch? 16 feels a little too on the nose there, buddy.
Let me show you, dude.
So I need to know what the conversion rate is on a 3-inch to 4-inch penis real quick.
Yeah, so that's, I think, if we're getting down to it, like a foot to 2 feet of snow.
Yeah, we said about, 8 inches, give or take?
Me?
No.
No, that's generous. That's fucking generous.
So yeah, no, give me 3 of my 3 to 6 times of my dick. No, but when you think about 20 to 60 centimeters, Len, or let's say 3 feet of snow,
I think it's a foot to 2 feet was what we really got down to.
Oh, that is just a regular day in Canada. Why is this even making news?
That's where my question comes from, Matt, because we're experts, as we've talked. We're seasoned pros in the snow game.
Yeah,
I've
been shoveling for 30 years. Dude.
It could be 110, maybe a little less than that in the summer. It could be like a monsoon in the spring, and then the winter we get dropped with 3 feet of snow, 4 feet of snow.
We can get a hurricane in the fall.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
There's no seasonal catastrophe that's off limits.
Yeah, we get to see all the seasons, and I just assume Canada, the Great White North.
I don't think that's what they're called.
Yeah,
is it?
It's the Great. Look at Google.
I thought that was Antarctica.
Stats. Google, please. The Great White North. And prove me right if we could.
Yeah, I don't know if we want this in our
the Great
history.
White North, Canada, dude.
Wow, man, you're spot on. Were you a weatherman in your past life?
No, I'm a Canadian enthusiast though.
Oh, you're
Terrence and Phillip.
You're a geologist, apparently, dude. That's amazing.
So the reason this popped into my stupid brain was I was scrolling through social media like you do. I think I was like on Twitter just going through like trending stuff, and there's people legit on the highway shoveling themselves out. Like you know when it snows in like Atlanta or Houston,
and they don't know how to handle it, they start freaking out.
It's not even that. We think that because we look at them and we're like, hey, stupid, like it's
an
inch and a half of snow, you'll figure it out. But they don't put into their budgets to have sand for the whole state or to have salt for the whole state.
Yeah.
So that's why their roads are so much more slippery. They don't have a ton of trucks driving around with like plow things on the front.
Oh, you were gonna get
right?
there. I figured I'd help you.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for the fucking jump start. On
my
brain.
Plows, dude.
But you know what I mean? Like it's like, so I can understand when you're in Houston and a snowstorm hits and the people are crashing into each other. But Canada, this is Ontario,
dude. It's like in Virginia. Virginia, people were stuck in traffic for like 24 hours.
Why'd that happen?
How far south does it have to be before you guys actually pick up a shovel and plow? Because for you to get stuck in terrible conditions for a day, imagine sleeping in your car, Len, because there's too much snow on the ground.
Why wouldn't you just leave your car? Come back.
Well, apparently that's what everybody in Ontario is doing. They're shoveling themselves out, or they're just completely just leaving their car on the highway. But you would think that Canada has the type of infrastructure in place to make sure that something like this can't happen. No?
That's what my guess has been this whole
that's
time,
what you
dude.
Would hope.
Like I said, I thought they would be seasoned experts at the snow game. Seeing these fools out here, and you kind of get it with like the trucks, because trucks have to meet those deadlines, like the 18-wheelers and stuff.
Yeah.
That get stuck. You're like, okay, they have a certain allotment of hours. They have a delivery time. They have to get there. They get docked.
And to your point, this didn't just come out of nowhere. Like I would imagine people knew that this was coming. I mean, even they announced that there was like a 72-hour watch for the weather. Like they knew that this was coming.
Plenty of opportunity. Plenty
of chances. Maybe they should connect with Virginia and figure out how to be a little bit more efficient when the snow, because they're just buried in snow, dude.
It's very weird though seeing like all these trucks. Like I think I drive a pickup truck. I'm pretty sure I could drive through a foot of snow, no problem.
I don't know, man. I'm starting to think that Canada's full of shit. Like, we think of them as having all their stuff put together. I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
So the nuts thing is, while this is happening, right, the Great White North is getting fucking blasted all over its face, and they're struggling with it. The opposite side of the world, down in Papua New Guinea, I think you said, like Australia.
Where'd you going with this? See,
I don't know geography.
In some cases, you're
don't.
a geologist as long as it's like within 3 to 4 states of you.
Are you using the right? Is it a geologist? Does geologists just study the Earth, or do I know places?
Or you're trying to be a geographer? Is what I'm thinking of. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like because I was like, I don't think I know anything about the Earth, but I don't know about.
But
geography
you love rocks.
Either.
I've seen you pick
crack
up rocks.
I love crack rocks. Yeah.
Say that, dude. Pop rocks. I saved you. You love pop rocks on your.
Did
day.
you ever have the lollipop version of that? Like, there's like the
crack.
Yeah, you dip. Well, you've never done that. You've never just had like a blow pop. You lick it once and you dip it in some crack.
No, the owl never asked me how many licks does it take to get to the center of the crack pop.
Crack rock. Yeah. No. So there was a fucking volcano that went off this week, Matt.
Oh, you're talking about we're
talking about Dante's Peak. Yes.
In off of New Zealand, in Tonga.
Tonga. Tamatonga.
Yeah, man. So much so. All right, so let's talk about this for a second because I saw this on the news and there were satellite images of this eruption. Did you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, dude. You can't. If there's a weather event somewhere, Matt,
it's not sneaking by you.
I'm gonna look. I love it.
I thought you were gonna tell me. I thought you were gonna tell me that you felt it, like just a little bit
in my loins.
Just the tip.
There's a little alert that goes off in my loins when there's a weather event somewhere. I just get a quiver.
That was a volcano eruption, exactly 6,000 miles away.
No, it's normally my.
Yeah, that's disgusting. I don't. Yeah. Wait, are you doing that to your dick?
Well,
you better cut.
I actually just.
I just blow it a quick little. There we go. All right, so let's get into this line because this volcano was in the islands off of Tonga. Which, if you're a geographer, right, you have Australia, you've got New Zealand, and then there's a bunch of little islands off of New Zealand, and you've got Papua New Guinea. You've got, I would imagine, Old Guinea. I don't know if they're that far away from each other.
Or did all the New Guineas kill the Old Guineas?
Well, either way, you'd still have a place.
It's like a block in New York.
Pretty much. Oh, you're talking about the Gangs of New York, starring Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes,
you son of a bitch, dude. I know you love
Never
Leo.
seen it.
What? Oh, this is weird. All right, but getting back to this, man, this volcano, apparently it erupted 3 times in the past 20 years. It happened in 2002, 2009, and 2014. And this time it blew up so big that the island just burst. Like, there's no island. There's no more underwater volcano. You could apparently feel the vibrations of the shockwaves from where we are. So you're talking thousands of miles away.
6,000, I think we read, maybe.
That if you were in Hawaii, if you're off the coast of Australia, any of those areas, you basically have to be on tsunami watch. And Tonga, the actual island of Tonga, got demolished from some of these tsunamis. It's pretty incredible.
Well, to me, honestly, obviously the volcano itself is like fascinating. Like volcanoes in general, are
it's powerful stuff, man. Like when you see them.
Would you be interested in seeing like magma in person?
Liquid hot magma.
Like flowing, like lava, like flowing down.
Listen, anybody who knows me knows I love Austin Powers. You give me a little opportunity to be in a volcanic like secret lair, I would definitely take a shot at that.
I would just show up there with like a bucket full of stuff
and just throwing it in.
Yeah.
Like, let's see how quickly this burns. Oh, that was quick.
Well, that was really cool. Like, let's see this dish in there. Like, what happens to it?
The movies never do, like, lava any justice. They always showing it, like, moving really slowly.
Yeah.
You look at this, man, the video, everything is, like, gone within a couple seconds.
Well, you know what? I guess it's kind of topical here. I referenced Dawson's Creek, Dante's Peak. That's a weird Freudian slip. Thing. It's really not that far off.
Same thing, dude. It's not that
bad. Imagine if this happened in the creek. You know when the old lady is getting walked across, has to walk the boat across, and the sulfur water
Jesus Christ,
eats her shit up.
You're saying that there was an underwater volcano there that could have just exploded at any moment.
The volcano was affecting the hot streams there or whatever.
Magma.
So I'm thinking, how fucking crazy is the water around that volcano now that it went off?
No.
Like, everything's dead. Like every single fish in that whole radius has to be dead, right? Or they know before it happens.
So that's the one thing that's crazy about volcanoes. While they destroy pretty much everything, like, I don't know. What is it? Tuscany? No. Pompeii. There we go. I didn't think of the terrible movie with Jon Snow.
I think Tuscany is like a snow place. Like,
I was going to say it's
there.
a chicken seasoning.
Like you go to Tuscany to go skiing or snowboarding.
I don't think that's what people go there for.
That's
really?
not right.
Is that... Do you go there?
I'm dead ass, dude.
You're killing it with your geography today.
Well,
you might be.
I'm a man who just knows words. I don't know where they are or places, I guess, not words.
Well, so to get back onto the point, like a volcano destroys everything at first, but then that liquid hot magma creates fertilizer and like helps the plants grow.
This is in the ocean.
So much. It's in the ocean. It doesn't matter, dude. Stuff is going to grow.
Fucking fertilizer matter?
Underwater coral.
I don't.
No?
No, I don't think that matters anymore, man.
I don't know, man. Volcanoes are usually not always a bad thing. This one definitely looks like a bad thing.
I think that like nature, like animals, know when
shit's gonna go down.
Like something like that's gonna happen, and they probably like already. A lot of them probably are already swimming away from that shit.
Well,
you're not gonna catch a great white fucking
anywhere near there.
No, he knows.
It's like, no, I'm going back to Sydney.
Yeah.
All right, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go look for surfers.
But it's pretty crazy because the island that it was on is just no longer there, right? So any neighboring islands destroyed by a tsunami, it makes you wonder, like, at any moment, what's the worst possible catastrophic event that could possibly happen? What do you think?
Well, like, so what's my biggest fear?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Like what's the worst act of God that I could be a part of? My immediate...
Ooh, I just trembled a little bit. That was weird.
My immediate one is, like, I think tsunamis are really fucked up. Like, do you ever watch the videos of, like, the ships that are in the ocean when huge waves, like, in the middle of a storm?
Can I tell you that that's, like, all Instagram thinks I give a shit about nowadays?
Yeah.
Because they'll just show you this ship, and you're always...
It's like a airplane carrier or some shit.
Yeah, right? It's a gigantic ship, and you just see the wave coming up against it, and you're like, oh, that's going to go over, right? And when it goes over, it has to come down. And when it comes down, the entire front of the ship is completely underwater.
And it sounds like a fucking, like, 20 car crashes. It's like...
You'd imagine that anybody who's on the deck of that ship, gone.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
without a
I think
trace.
that's why nobody's on the deck when that happens, generally.
That's the opposite of all hands on deck type of thing.
But, like, really big waves...
Scary as hell.
That's a scary one. That's scary because the ocean's so unknown to us that, like, look what a riptide does to you. Like, you could be at a beach on a normal day and just get swept fucking 30 feet out into the ocean and be gone. You know, whatever.
Strong currents, dude.
Yeah. So, like, a giant wave's really intimidating. Obviously, like lava's gonna suck, but
you're done immediately though. Like a volcanic eruption, if you're anywhere near there, you're smashed or you're burned to a crisp pretty quickly.
See the video? It's the person, they're on like a speedboat in the ocean and they're driving away and they're filming when all of a sudden
a volcano erupts.
Goes off.
I think I did.
And you see the because you know how you see something and then you hear it lightning and thunder.
It's like the shock wave.
Yeah. So you see it go off in a huge plume of smoke. And then, like, 10 seconds later, they get hit with this. You see literally, too, because of the water they're on.
You see it's almost like a wave coming at them. Yeah,
at them. It's kind of crazy. That one's up there. You know, we talked about blizzards. I think we're pretty used to that. That doesn't really freak me out that much.
It doesn't freak you out unless it's to the extent of the day after tomorrow.
Okay, or the
where
blizzard. It's blizzard of 76. That's topical and current. Not current, but...
definitely not current. It's like 50 years ago.
New England history.
So 76 was like 10 feet of snow, I think.
Yeah,
let's take a guesstimate.
That sounds high.
Sounds high? What would you say? Okay, we looked it up earlier. I had it pulled up.
How much is 100 inches?
100 inches? Probably about 8 or 9 feet. So that's what it was. It was 100 inches.
I know that they told me, like, I have a 2-story home and that they were leaving through the upstairs window.
Okay.
To get out of the
Jesus
house.
Christ. So imagine 8 to 9 feet of snow. That's towering us, right? Like you're not shoveling your way out of that. If your car is stuck in that type of snow, you're buried. Like go buy a new car. But if you have 30 feet of snow, like immediate freeze, 0 degree, or what is it, minus 70 degree temperature, and anything that you touch can freeze at an instant, does that freak you out?
I guess to your point, it's like if I had to go somewhere, that sucks. But if I'm like, if I'm
home, man, if I got the fire right next to me, I'm good.
Yeah, like I think I'll be all right. I'll be okay. In some ways, I honestly think extreme heat's probably worse than.
Ooh.
than the cold. I mean, and you're a former
So
Florida boy
I was gonna
by
say
way of
I've done
Jersey.
some. You need to stop with that. It's funny that you can live in Jersey, get a blizzard and a hurricane, and nobody gives a shit about you.
No, they didn't care.
No, nobody gives a
Chris
shit.
Christie did though.
But have you seen that guy in a baseball uniform?
Yes, it's really funny.
It's the live action version of the Blob. Like no CGI, no bullshit. That's the Blob. But no, man, when I lived in Florida, I went through some pretty terrible hurricanes. I was there when Katrina hit New Orleans. I was there when Sandy hit. We had Wilma, I think, was another one that was terrible. And honestly, if you're in a secure area, the worst thing that's going to happen is your car might get destroyed. You might end up with some flooding. But the idea of like tsunamis just coming over and just hitting you can't fight water, man. There's nothing you can do to stop water from taking whatever it wants. So it would either be what can we consider an asteroid hitting the planet?
Yeah, I think that's a fair one to include.
That one could be pretty fucked up too.
Yeah, well, actually,
Sinkhole.
no. So I don't think we can think it now that I think of it
because it's
like,
not Mother Nature.
Well,
it is.
I suppose it is.
It's Mother Nature's
It's an act
cousin.
of God. It's I would say the Christians would say it's an act of God.
Wow. What do you think the Catholics would say?
No,
that son of a bitch. Sorry. He did this again.
Did you ever see? You mentioned the Hurricane Katrina, right? And it got me to thinking. You've seen the movie Crawl? It's about the hurricane that hits like Louisiana or whatever. It's got Kaya Scodgario in it. Scott Daddario.
It's not ringing a
and
bell.
Billy, whatever his name is.
Billy Crystal?
No. It's the one. Basically, there's a big giant crocodile, and it's because the floods cause the water like they come up now.
Oh, that's relatively new. Okay.
Yeah. It's an okay movie. I don't hate it, but it was making me think of like being in Hurricane Katrina and the fact that there could have just been crocodiles.
Oh yeah.
That just came into your neighborhood all of a sudden, and now you're on their land, like their
You're
territory.
in their turf.
Yeah.
You're on the wrong side of town now, bitch.
You know,
Like,
and they don't
that'd
even
be
give you
rough.
that much time. They're gonna fucking bring you underwater and then just barrel roll you all around.
Sharknado.
I think my
Is that a real
actual answer is gonna stay. I think being in the presence of like a tsunami, because like to have a tsunami, you also have to have a hurricane. I feel like that kind of all comes hand in hand.
A typhoon.
Okay.
I think a typhoon is more powerful.
I don't
than
know.
a hurricane.
Typhoons are high. It's a storm with really high winds.
But not quite like tornado-esque. Because you saw the video for the eruption, bro. That there was lightning like going in. Something was being born, like a celestial. Like a celestial was being born.
Or what's the things in Godzilla? What are they called?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
we're
You're
the
talking like
worst.
Mothra.
Yeah. Like
God damn it.
We're the worst, dude.
Titans.
Titans.
There
okay.
we go.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I knew I just fucking had it, bro. I hate myself for that. But no, to your point, I think anything having to do with the ocean, like if you think about an earthquake is pretty terrible because it starts
That's a big
tsunamis.
one.
So I think earthquake, is the one that I don't want.
California shit?
California, bro. Imagine just being in a building and that building is kapoof, done.
Yeah, or like you're driving on a fucking bridge and it just separates because
Stop. Don't do that.
That's
dude.
actually
that's it.
I don't want to be in a really really bad earthquake. Like that's probably
because
the worst one.
an earthquake is just the first stage of more shit coming. Because if you have a terrible earthquake, tsunamis come, fucking unicorns come out of hell. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens if an earthquake is really bad.
So we agree, earthquake is bar none the worst one.
You agree with me that earthquake is the worst one? Yeah.
No, but yeah. Sure.
Yeah, that was mine.
Low key, one other one we didn't mention is like forest fires in California. Like imagine living in California and like your whole neighborhood goes up in flames.
So those weren't
because some dumbass
those weren't
did, like,
natural though.
Some dumbass does a gender.
That's not an act of God.
It is an act of God because
God made the baby.
God makes all people.
This is why abortion should be legal.
Well, I was, you just fucked up, dude. I was just gonna say that we're gonna soon become a top 100 religious podcast just based on this conversation, and then you did that. So, then you did that. So we have no chance. We're fucked,
dude. Hillary Clinton went back on her shit, dude. I could do the same thing.
She's good with God, I'm sure. Really quick. Okay, first of all, let us know out there what your most feared natural disaster, act of God, so to speak.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe
For all of
I'm a
you,
wordsmith.
for all of you atheists out there, what's the worst thing that science could do to the world? There you go, right?
Geostorm.
There you go.
Or just Hollywood.
That's what I'm saying, man. Lightning in a volcano.
So while we have a couple minutes before we have to restart the camera here or anything, Matt, I think this one we can fit in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, we got this.
The Book of Boba. Where are you at with it? How many episodes in are we?
So when the people get to hear this, we'll be on 4 episodes. But as of right now, just wrapped the 3rd episode. Absolutely loving what they're doing from a storytelling point of view. From a fan service point of view, we got reintroduced. We got reintroduced to a Rancor. Do you know what a Rancor is, Len?
No, I do. Just if I could slide this in really quick. Everybody stay tuned for next week when this Star Wars fan is like, I fucking hate everything they're doing with this.
Nope.
It's the worst thing I've ever
not gonna
fucking
happen.
watched.
Because I think when I first started talking about the show, I said that they're posing or offering up a lot of questions that I'm interested to see what the answers are going to be, because it'd be interesting to see what direction they go in. Again, 3 episodes in, I don't think that we have much longer to go. I'm loving what they're doing right now.
You don't know how many episodes are in
I
it?
think there's 8 episodes in it.
Okay.
So we're halfway. Sorry, I always have to do the
3
Bon
is
Jovi.
not halfway to 8.
But by the time the people hear it,
When
will be
do
there.
new episodes? Wednesdays?
Wednesday. Yeah.
Wednesdays. Can you put a pin in Wednesdays real quick, and we'll get back to it in like a minute and a half, because I don't want to just like I feel like I push us past the Star Wars stuff quite often, and I want to give you your shine, especially if you're enjoying yourself. Is this mostly a dramatic telling of Boba, or has there been a decent amount of action?
No, so there's been a decent amount of action. I think that they've done a good job of sprinkling that in, because it is very dialogue heavy. There's a lot of arrow happening where they're going back to a previous time, very similar to like The Island.
Okay.
So we're getting to understand how Boba has become the man that we were introduced to in The Mandalorian. What type of character has he developed into? And I think for some Star Wars fans, they're maybe not enjoying that part, but trying to keep it completely spoiler free. Being reintroduced to characters that we've seen in some of the prequel movies. We also get some shout outs to Star Wars Rebels as well as Star Wars The Clone Wars. So they're doing a great job, and this is just a Filoni and Favreau thing, with fans being, the creators of the show. They're doing a lot of things that fans can look forward to. So we had Black Kraston is a character that came up, or Karsten, basically was...
I think that was a character. Remember that dodgeball game we used to play on my Xbox?
Yeah.
I feel like...
Was there a Black Karsten?
I don't know if his name was Black Karsten, but his name was Karsten, and he was...
So I'm not even going to go there. But if you're a Chewbacca fan and you love yourself some Wookiees, you get Black Karsten.
I did it all for the Wookiee.
What?
Wookiee. What?
But no, I am
bad.
interested to see how people are feeling about this show. I'm genuinely enjoying it. Everybody I've talked to seems to be interested. But I'm interested to see what you guys think. Are you liking it? Are you not liking it? Are we seeing too much of the soft side of Boba? And how excited are you to get to see a Rancor back on the live scenes now? But yeah, I'm okay with us running through it really quickly, because I'm doing my best to do it spoiler free.
I like it. You did a great job.
Okay,
you did a great job. And as a person who won't watch it, you did a good job of making it sound enticing.
Really?
So
I thought you were going to say
congrats.
I made it easy for you to understand why you're not going to watch it.
I do want to be completely honest with you. I have been thinking about The Mandalorian more recently, because I don't really have much on my docket currently to watch. So I have been kind of toying with some Mandalorian thoughts. But if I'm being completely honest about it, if I watch it, I just want to fly through it and bang it out. So I want to be able to give it the focus and like care about it.
Like an active watch, not a passive
exactly.
watch.
So I don't want to just put it on and like watch it while I play video games. So that's the only reason I haven't really watched it. But I am for an update for everybody out there considering.
Well, I mean, you did hit a couple of episodes for Visions for us, so I remain hopeful
and I
that
think
you'll
I'm going
actually
to
fall through.
I think I'm going to like The Mandalorian, so that's why I'm not necessarily like objecting to it. Can you pull a pin out of Wednesdays real quick?
I was fucking...
Okay, grab it.
that.
Thanks.
Yep.
We're not going to talk about Peacemaker this week. I think we're on the same page here.
So I think we're on the same... I'm glad you brought that up. So I am under the impression that I think this is one of those shows that we wrap up when it's finished, and then we give our synopsis or summaries based on watching the final piece. Are we on the same page there?
Yeah, so the issue became for me, like I started to watch a little of it this morning, but I kind of fell asleep again while I was watching it. But I was thinking, even if we were to talk about it today on a Tuesday, new episodes come out on Wednesdays, right? So by the time this is out, there would be a whole other load of episodes that I don't know if they're releasing one at a time now and they just released 3 up front. The first
Everybody's
week, I don't know how it's
copying
gonna do
Apple
that.
now with that, so I think I'd like it, but it gets a little confusing.
I've heard great things, and and that's another thing to ask. Just like let us know what you think out there. No spoilers if you could.
Please.
Although we're just assholes and spoil things whenever we
We're
want.
getting better though.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I
when
think
we
so.
want to be. But yeah, so I just wanted to quickly get that in there. That's kind of where I'm at on it. We'll wait till the show's over and we can just give thoughts on the whole thing.
Yeah, we've already spoken some decent praises about it. We're looking forward to it, but we're interested to see what you think. Let us know if you're watching it or you're waiting to watch it.
Matt, you know what would be a really interesting topic to kick off this next segment with?
I mean, I feel like we've gotten pretty interesting already, but what would it be?
The weather.
Wait a minute, did you just bring this back full circle?
We're a weather podcast.
Full Arctic Circle?
But we are talking about Blizzard. But not the Blizzard.
We just spent 20 minutes talking about blizzards.
Yeah, but let me cook, dude. There's still
You
the Blizzard.
cook in a blizzard.
There's still the Blizzard of '98. There's the Blizzard of 2004.
That's the one we're actually alive for.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. We're gonna talk about really quickly. So this morning I woke up to some crazy news in the world of video games. I being a person who plays video games relatively often.
Fuck, okay. Weird transition, buddy.
Microsoft has acquired Activision / Blizzard Entertainment.
Yes, or Blizzard / Activision, if you want to go based on which entity is bigger.
Blizzard. Oh yeah, because I guess World of Warcraft is like the biggest game.
Yeah,
of all
that's what I was
time.
saying.
Yeah, I was thinking
the scale.
alphabetical.
No, I like what you're doing. I feel like a dick for changing it, but some people are going to be upset if you don't mention that.
So obviously, this affects me directly because I play Call of Duty or Warzone. I don't play like Vanguard, but I play Warzone very regularly.
Yeah.
This sale was $70 billion.
Say that one more time.
It also says it's a cash deal. $70 billion.
Do you want to know why it's a cash deal?
deal.
Do you want to know why it's a cash deal?
Sure. I do have some thoughts on it, though.
Microsoft's sitting on $145 million, $1 billion in reserves. So
how?
Money that they're just sitting on.
Like literal cash.
Literal cash. Like, so a lot of tech companies right now, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, all these companies are sitting on like a decent amount of scratch, and Microsoft
just in case like what the banks crash.
No,
or some
man,
shit
no,
like that? Like,
because since the pandemic, since the big C, everybody's looking to find that new thing that's going to make you the most amount of money. And what is bigger than gaming right now, Len?
Not very
really
much.
Nothing.
I mean,
because everybody's home.
It's the biggest growing.
Yeah.
You know.
So Microsoft, this isn't the only purchase that they made. They also purchased TikTok, so they're trying to get on the social media train. They then purchased. They're big in the crypto market right now, so they've already wasted, including this Blizzard deal, close to $120 billion.
Well, you know,
just to acquire assets.
The glaring thing for me, Matt, though, when I saw a $70 billion cash transaction, and of course, we don't need to preface this. You heard the whole first 30 minutes. We're dumb. So don't, like, I'm literally, like, I might be completely off in whatever I'm thinking here. But
sure,
I could have sworn that they told me the American dollar's down big time.
That's a myth.
Yeah?
I think that's a myth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they just, like, I feel like if you came to me and were like, I want to buy something now, I'm surprised companies like, all right, pony up the Bitcoin, bitch.
Well, so you got to think about it. If this isn't the only company that they've bought. So if you're doing some forecasting, you've got a bunch of money in the bank. Do you want to spend that when things are low, meaning they're only going to get bigger, they're only going to come up on the rise? Or do you want to wait and see if they're going to come up on the rise? TikTok, I think we can all agree, isn't going anywhere.
No.
We're
I
seeing
kind of love it these days.
We're seeing a lot more focus on how people are communicating. So WhatsApp was a very popular... WhatsApp. I say WhatsApp because it's the same thing. A very popular messaging system and way for people to communicate. Microsoft purchased Discord, which is starting to blow up. Yeah, so that's the other company that I was trying to think of. They're getting into a lot of avenues that they can see continuing to grow. And let's be honest, if you were ever going to get in on buying a company like Blizzard, this would definitely be the time to do it. I mean, we didn't talk about it much on the show, but controversy has hit them pretty hard, and the value for that particular company is only going down.
Yeah, it's almost like get out while we can still, be rich, so to speak. I don't know how many
$70 billion.
I don't know how many ways you split that $70 billion though. Like who gets the $70 billion?
So, like, obviously, I think CEOs or whatever are going to get a big share of that, but the shareholders get a majority of that. And then you got to basically spread that out to, people who are getting paid in escrow, all that other stuff.
It sounds crazy and complicated, but
not one person is taking $70 billion. It's basically an entity that takes $70 billion, then they have to split it up.
And so I referenced, like, to me, the biggest game is obviously Call of Duty. Blizzard has World of Warcraft, which obviously has forever had a very massive fan base. But there were some interesting ones in here. You mentioned, like, fucking Candy Crush.
So I was going to say, you just mentioned Call of Duty, which is one of the biggest, like, platform type games, right? So Xbox, PlayStation. Then you talked about World of Warcraft, which is the biggest PC, like, computer game out there.
Of all time, probably.
Of all time. Yeah, easily. Like, come on, man. They made a terrible movie based on it, right?
They made a lot of terrible video game movies.
Yeah, so just when you think about it now, what app do you think about from a mobile platform is one of the biggest ones? Maybe Clash of Clans, probably pretty big. But another one is Candy Crush.
Do people play these games still, though? Like,
okay, let me just put it to you like this. If you walk around your place of work and you talk to 5 people, I can almost guarantee you 3 of them are playing a hot mobile game. I guarantee it.
I can't believe that, man. Like, because at least personal taste-wise, it's very hard for me to find, like, phone games that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, to find phone games that are, like, aren't, like, the pay-to-play ones are the last thing I'm interested in.
That's very true. But you look at a game like Candy Crush, to your point you just mentioned. Do you remember when Candy Crush, like, blew up, bro?
Oh, dude, there was a point where, and same thing with Clash of Clans. Like, I had friends that were in, like, their clans, and they were clashing all the time. Like,
bro,
they loved that
The
shit.
amount of people who were just sitting in the bathroom stall just playing Candy Crush didn't even need to poop. Like, you're just like, I gotta get this.
I gotta get it in the level. Yeah.
I gotta get past this level. But
it was just Bejeweled, basically,
yeah.
right? Is what Candy Crush is.
Don't you fucking do that, dude. Bejeweled is a dinosaur. Candy Crush is the future.
It seems like the past.
No, Bejeweled Plus is like a big thing on the App Store. I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah,
Bejeweled's big.
Dude, I love Bejeweled, but I haven't played it in years. But I like those games on your computer back in like 10, 15 years ago, like Snood. I love them all.
How far back are we willing to go back for games to remaster? So I was thinking about like arcade games that we used to play, and even in some stores, like retailer stores, you'll see they sell the actual like big game, the arcade console.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Arcade One or like One Up.
Yeah, like they have Ninja Turtles. They've got Street Fighter. Let's start mobilizing some of those games. Bring some of those games back.
Well, yeah, because there are, like, of course, like I've had emulators on my phone. Like I've been able to play like Pokemon Yellow or something on my cell phone. But yeah, I don't understand why. Because you know what the issue is? If they were to put that on our phones, they would make it pay to play. Like, there would be, like, a level-based thing. We have to do some beat-em-up stuff and then, like, pay to play the next level or wait till the next day to play it. It's bullshit.
Yeah, it is bullshit.
Like, that's half the issue with cell phone games. And you have to almost get a controller for a lot of those games to feel great.
That's true. Yeah, there's just too many things. Like, it's just not a mobile game. It's it becomes
we're
so much
talking
more.
mobile, and we talked about Call of Duty. Like, Call of Duty mobile is, like, a pretty big thing. You know, people seem to like it. I would never play it.
My mom got me a Backbone for Christmas. The little handheld controller. I should have prefaced that a little bit better. I have a Backbone, people. The Backbone gaming controller for your phone.
Okay.
You snap your phone into it. It's powered by the phone. Essentially, is like an Xbox controller.
Are you enjoying it?
So I played the new Samurai Jack game. Pretty dope.
Okay.
A lot of fun. There's just too many games out there. I would have to sift through all of them and actually figure out what I wanted to play. But I'll pose the question for you here. So hearing this news, hearing all the drama that's been going on with this company. As an avid Warzone player, what are you hoping that this deal means for you as a game player?
You hope that means fresh eyes are on the product, like a reinvigorated care in making changes to the game. I don't think it necessarily changes the development team. I hope not, because I would feel terrible for a lot of those, like the trickle-down effect there. Yeah. If now Microsoft fires all the people who have been working on stuff and hire their own people to work, or if they're just going to inherit a lot of that. I'd imagine they're going to...
That's a dangerous line.
Yeah, I imagine you'd have to inherit most of it, but I would just hope for a reinvigoration. Like, the product has been really stale. Competitively, people aren't happy right now. I mean, as a person who's not great at it, like, who am I to complain? I'm bad whether the game's good or bad whether the game's good.
You say that, man. I've seen you play games.
But, well, sure, like, and to a scale of, like, some of our friends, yeah, I'm better than some of them, but, like, in this grand scheme of things, there's people who are
kill
fucking...
death is ass compared to other people.
Like, there's people who are very, very good at that game, you know?
That.
And I understand them being upset about something like that because they make money off of it and everything like that. So I'm sure there's a lot of really great opportunities. I think the thing for regular people like ourselves that's going to be interesting is, you have something like Xbox Game Pass that Microsoft is very heavily invested in. And are we going to see a Call of Duty Vanguard, or is World of Warcraft going to get a transfer to console, or do we get any of those things? Like, whereas Call of Duty going to be free every year now if you're a Game Pass member, and because that's going to continue to build incentive for them.
Yeah.
And as we know, monthly agreements and monthly subscriptions are what any successful company right now is built on. And it seems like Microsoft is really, really invested into that process right now, giving away things like MLB, the show, the Halo, like Halo.
Madden.
They give away Halo.
I think
on
was
there.
another one that they gave away for free a couple of years ago.
It's just like they're giving away a lot of really good stuff on there.
Yeah,
Back to Blood.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll ask the question, like, the infrastructure that Microsoft has in place for their gaming department, right? So let's say the stuff that they release, the questions have already been posed. Are they going to keep it Microsoft only? Are they going to keep it Xbox only, right? Does that mean Call of Duty only comes to Xbox? Does that mean that World of Warcraft only becomes available to Microsoft and Xbox users? And they have said, at least preliminarily, that that's not going to be the case. It's going to be open for everybody. Everybody's going to get a chance to play. You're just kind of hoping that it stays that way.
I would say it's only in the long run, it would only lose them money if they were going to say no to the PlayStation 5. Like, there's just such a large segment of the population that's buying the game that now has to pay Microsoft to use it on their PlayStation product. It's like Marvel and fucking Sony,
Yeah. You're going to tread lightly for things like the Spider-Man game when you're only releasing it on PlayStation 5.
And so, like, let's use that as a nice transfer here. Let's move on to some Marvel. Like video games, we spent some time here. Let's get on to a little Marvel
Enough
conversation.
weather talk.
We were going to talk about Hawkeye, but I'm going to make a real-time decision here, Matt, that just like last week, we're going to say next week we'll talk about Hawkeye.
Yeah, and for those of you who are holding your breath on whether or not we will actually talk about Hawkeye, we will.
Keep tuning in weekly. But you'll find out.
It's TBD and it's tentative, so we're going to need you to work with us on this. But one thing we will talk about today, Len, you gave me the time, you gave me the leeway I needed to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home.
Or to take time to see it.
To see it, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I was able to catch it this past week, and I want to... I can't tell you how excited I was to get in here to actually talk to you about it, because I feel like I'm a dick for making you wait this long to talk about it.
Well, so I'll ask you first, Matt. Me and D both last week said that the movie for him was top 5. For me, fell right around that 5 spot. And we'll, down the line, hopefully get an opportunity to really figure out exactly where it falls.
Yeah.
But where to you right now does this movie fall?
Yeah, this was an easy one. And this I went into it with no preconceived notions based on what you guys told me. This was easily top 5 Marvel for me. Okay. Everything from the execution to the storytelling, there was a lot of things that I think they could have done wrong and kind of messed up based on some of the leaks that came out before the movie was released. For me, it hit it out of the park and kept me excited. I think that's one of the other things was making me excited for what's coming next.
So the movie's been out now for 3 weeks. I believe yeah. So 3 weeks at least. So we haven't got to say this in a little bit, but I think it's fair to just go right into this. So we're gonna do a 3, 2, 1 spoilers. We're gonna talk freely about the movie.
Proceed at your own risk.
If you want, there's time codes in the below. You can skip to the next section if you don't want to hear about No Way Home at all at this point. Totally understand. But we're just going to talk about it freely. So I think the most impressive thing this movie does, and my initial viewing, so the first viewing, and I started to talk about this last week. The reason it would have been in my top 5 the first time I viewed it is because I really love their ability. They did this with Endgame, to balance all of these things that could be really just nostalgia acts and throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall that you get your Charlie Coxes, you get your fucking Andrew Garfields, Tobey Maguires, you get all these great throwback villains. It could be very easy a la Amazing Spider-Man 2 to become a jumbled mess. And I think Marvel has shown the larger the scale of their movies go, the better they actually do.
Yeah, they're going to be able to step up.
The movies that we critique and criticize from them, at least from what I can think of a majority of the time, are the origin movies. Those first movies are kind of throwaway or repetitive. I was giving D shit
about that last week.
Yeah. And we see that these guys show up when the occasion calls for it 100%. And I think that's what I really appreciated the first time I saw it. And the second time I got to analyze more of the actual story, and that's where it may have taken a step down for me. Not saying the story's bad, but now that you've seen the movie, I just think, in my opinion, some of the ways that we just get to the next step of the story is convenient and written in a way that, like, it progresses things. And I understand that just for story's sake, it has to be like that. But sometimes, like I said, it's just convenient.
Yeah, and that's going to be a main detractor for me, outside of the fact that I felt like this movie felt like 2.5 hours, right? So I think when I watched Endgame, or if I watched Infinity Wars, Infinity Wars more so than Endgame, didn't feel like it was 2.5 hours. It was able to get you to the next point. Everything seemed to tie in and make sense. I think that with this movie, because there are so many different factors going into it, there's so many different pieces to the puzzle. This is why I said they had a lot of opportunities to make mistakes, but I think the initial introduction of Charlie Cox helps you get that out of the way really quickly. It's very simple. Hey, you obviously need a lawyer. You live in Queens. Like, I know a lawyer who's in Queens. Like, all of that fits. It makes sense. It's really when there kind of becomes like a time constraint that things start getting messy. It's when they're like, oh, we only have a certain amount of time to get these guys back, or we have to get these guys back before anybody else makes an appearance and things like that. And as soon as you start involving time as a viewer, that's where I get nervous, because that's where you start making mistakes.
Yeah.
I think the initial, what would you say, introduction to Tobey Maguire, to Andrew Garfield, it was done well, but then I think the way that they put everybody together and being understanding, like, we know Peter Parker's smart, so any version of Peter Parker is just going to be able to figure out what's going on without really getting a detailed explanation. And then, I hate to say it, but Ned being able to just open up a circle like he's Doctor Strange or Wong, to me, that's right up there with Finn using a lightsaber in The Force Awakens. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I think it's a fun moment in the movie.
It's fun, but doesn't make sense.
I think, actually, for me, a lot of the convenient stuff routes more back to the Doctor Strange stuff, where, like, he's kind of the linchpin to a lot of what goes wrong in this movie, right? Like, and I just think, obviously, he's an arrogant guy, and he's confident that he's going to be able to do the spell, and it's not going to be an issue. But he's mad at Peter, for instance, for not bringing up, like, not going through any other steps before coming to me and just saying to, like, wipe everybody's minds. But
what'd you do?
But you're the fucking adult, dude. Like, this kid's in high school still. And you didn't question any of that. Yeah. And because of the story, you can't, because all this stuff has to happen, and, like, it has to create this environment that we get. But it's like, he could have cut it off at any point. And then he could have also pressed the button right off the bat and just wiped all of it. You know, like, it seemed like at any point he could have pulled the pin on all
even of it. I don't like the idea of it's so easy that it's just, once the square GameCube is fixed, you just have to press the what is it from the Allspark? From Transformers.
Yeah, just put it into the chest.
Just put it into one spot and just press the button and we're good to go. Like, I don't like that concept.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you make it too simple. That's the part, again, that makes not enough sense. Is Doctor Strange is all powerful. He's all this. His power shouldn't be so accessible to some teenage kids, right? I don't think that him being able to just put together a box that anybody can hold, to me, it just doesn't. It's too much like movies that we've seen that made no sense.
Now, with that being said, I can forgive those things that just, now, like I said, progress the story along, and you have to have it happen for the movie to work the way it does, and to get all of these amazing moments. Like, I loved seeing both Toby and Andrew Garfield come through their respective holes. Great. You know, being in the movie that first night and having the crowd when the whole fucking finally opens, especially the second one, and it's like the way the crowd responded to fucking seeing Toby coming out, like, that was awesome.
I'm thankful that I didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So, like, this was a relatively, like, chill crowd. People weren't clapping. People weren't getting excited.
Well, you're probably with people who've seen it already too.
So that's what I'm assuming, right? And that's where I feel like I got to enjoy the movie. I already knew what was coming, so it was less about the nostalgia and it was more about the execution. And their ability to tell the story of Uncle Ben / Aunt May between the three of them was such a powerful moment, and I felt like was just enough to tie the seams together that I didn't really care how we got there.
And did you see the article? It was an Andrew Garfield interview, and he mentioned what was the final thing that got him to come back to the role. You know, he said that he sat down with like Kevin Feige, and I forget the female's name at this point. But he sits down with them, and basically they outline everything. They're like, we don't want this just to be a cameo and a fan service thing. Like, we want to write you guys in a way that you enhance the story. And to your point, we have that Uncle Ben stuff, and we're able to like help you. Your characters can help, like, you get growth and some finality or new aspects of your characters from your movies, but also like Tom's Peter Parker gain something from knowing you as well. And I think like that stuff carries this movie, the way those three bonded together. Like they just like, there's those moments, and I guess it was improvised when he says like, I love you guys, like that stuff's improvised. But he said the final,
it does it so well though.
He said the final scene that got him when he got the script was reading when he catches MJ. Yeah.
So that's the moment I was going to take a guess because I didn't read that article, but that moment in the movie, slight little trickle, because his character, you could tell that he brought that with him off screen.
Yes.
I feel like that's a lot of closure for him to be able to make that save. And then it also makes sense when he's telling the story of how he lost Gwen.
I think him and Tom have this way of looking emotional, like in their characters, that like Toby doesn't necessarily have that for me as much.
But I think Toby's got
like more of that like innocence to it. Like I think Tom's also got that innocence in a way.
So the part where Toby is telling them like, yeah, my best friend tried to kill me. Like he died in my arms right after he tried to kill me. That subtlety, that subtleness, I don't know how I would say that, but that's to me what he brings to Peter Parker. It's that ability to, no matter what has happened to you or what is happening to you, you're going to be able to make sense of it and get through it. Right.
You get the vibe, yeah, that like Toby's Spider-Man is very comfortable at this point in who he is and what he's accomplished in some ways, and he's an older guy who has Mary Jane still in his life, and you get the vibe of obviously with Andrew
Marissa
Garfield
Tomei was the name that I was thinking of.
Yes.
Sorry.
Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man or Peter Parker is darker and more bitter, and I think that suits Andrew Garfield's character so well. And they all complement each other. Like the part at the end with Toby getting stabbed and eating that form, it had to be Toby's character.
Yeah.
Like it made the most sense to be him. The way he can give that look to Tom Holland of like, you don't have to do this. Like don't become this person.
And man, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about. But there is that moment where Tom and Andrew are looking at each other. Or not Tom, I'm sorry. Toby and Andrew are looking at each other. And it's when Tom is going in on the Green Goblin, right? And you kind of had to wonder how they were going to play that out. Were they going to let him learn this lesson the way that they have? You had to know that they weren't going to, right? But how is that going to be displayed? And to your point, like, something about Toby just sitting there, like, go ahead, man. Like, dude, let it out as much as you need to. I'm here to take it. You don't need to do this. And then it's Andrew just being there for him to toss him the canister, right? So, hey, you don't have to do all of this alone. We're right here with you. And that's the story that I think this movie tells really, really well. And it makes the ending of it really a tough pill to swallow, but it makes sense.
So, yeah, before we move on, I want to touch on three quick things here. So, first of all, what do you think of the villains of the guys that we chose to bring back and how they were utilized?
Interesting utilization, because I think going into the movie, it would have been very easy to see you basically going in a Royal Rumble or a Battle Royale fashion type thing where everybody's kind of fending for themselves. I like the way that they told the story through these guys to be able to appeal to Tom's inner Peter. Right? When they say, oh, well, I died fighting Spider-Man doing this, or you died fighting Spider-Man, like I saw all of this. Being able to have them tell these stories as human beings and not as villains helps tie the movie together, I think, into a specific theme that worked. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I wish I could remember his name right now, but the Doc Ock,
Benjamin Molina?
Andrew... Molina? It's definitely Molina, but I don't think it's Ben. Oh, fuck.
I got it. What am I
Either
doing?
way,
No, it's-
Alfred
I'm
Molina.
an idiot.
It's Alfred
It's right here.
It's Alfred Molina.
It is.
He like his character's amazing. Obviously, Willem Dafoe is good. I think Jamie Foxx plays his role well. They're all good. Obviously, there wasn't a lot for Sandman to do in there, and for Doc Connors. Like their characters didn't do a ton, but like the main focus was on three of them, and I thought they did a great job in it. Nextly, you mentioned Aunt May. Her unfortunate death. Were you surprised by that? How did it hit you? Like I thought it was a really good. It was well done.
I knew that we needed an Uncle Ben moment. I just didn't know what it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I was on this show and I made a prediction that it would possibly be Zendaya's MJ. Maybe that would be his Uncle Ben moment or that death moment.
Yeah.
I think the Aunt May, like you always hear that saying, with great power comes great responsibility. She did an incredible job of just playing that entire scene.
Mm-hmm.
And when she falls, man, it's tough to deal with because it's hard to see. I think we can kind of see Andrew, to your point, because he plays a darker version of Spider-Man. We could see him deal with the death of Gwen. Mm-hmm. We got introduced to Toby losing Uncle Ben really quickly. Like it's the first movie.
First thing you see, basically.
First thing you see. It was hard for us to see Tom lose Aunt May because he's already lost Tony. And we've seen him kind of deal with that in a very rough way. They play it out perfectly. I don't think they could have done it any better.
But the good thing with this is like the Tony one made him sad and depressed. This one made him angry and dark.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought she was awesome, and I think what really sealed it for me was Happy. And just seeing when he gets there and he sees Peter and realizes like what happened. Yeah. Like I think that really like seals that in for me. And so lastly, you mentioned the end of the movie. What do you think of the he gets his memory wiped. We're now kind of clean slate. We're to the Peter Parker.
He doesn't get his memory wiped.
No, but everybody else
gets their memory wiped. Yeah.
Now we have a clean slate for Peter Parker. We're actually getting the Peter Parker that I think we all probably prefer in some ways. Yeah, the one without all the gadgets.
This is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, like the guy, he makes his own suit. He lives in that small apartment with the shitty bed.
It fit, man.
You know, like I love, man, I was so satisfied. And then the second time watching it and knowing that was going to happen, I loved it. I loved the scene in the coffee shop.
I was just about to say,
I really loved just that awkward, like, I feel like we kind of know it. Like, I want to tell you so much, but it's actually for the best that I just don't, because I should live my own life for a while with Zendaya.
And I was so glad that they kept it that way. Mm-hmm. I think it was very easy for them to finish this movie with him, like, in the coffee shop. Hey, like, let me tell you a story type of thing. And we've seen that in other movies. Him having to sacrifice so much, right? Because that was his biggest thing from No Way Home. I'm sorry, Far From Home to No Way Home. Mm-hmm. Was he was living two lives, and that was always going to be the thing that kept him from being the best hero that he could be, the best person that he could be. To see him finally sever the ties, because that's what this movie was all about. He wanted Aunt May to know. He wanted MJ to know. He wanted Ned to know. To have to go through all of this to realize that it's just not possible to have both things and make the tougher choice. He's got no one at this point now. And this is the Peter Parker that we know from the Amazing, the animated series, the Amazing Spider-Man. This is the Peter Parker that I think fits any comic book that you would read. Would you agree?
I want to quickly give I definitely do agree. Like I think, and I want to quickly just shout out our guy Hey Archer at Nerd Affiliated. He's got a clip coming out from his weekly show today, and he compared Tom Holland's not seeing his Spider-Man not seeing MJ again for one or two movies to like Sting going away for a year in like 1997, making this like grand comeback to take on the NWO. And it's a very, very good analogy. And I definitely check out the video. It's a good, really good clip. Obviously the weekly episode's awesome. I just hope he's right. And I hope we don't just next movie have him like all around Zendaya, like trying to get her back. It's like, let it breathe for a couple movies. There are characters that he can go and find your Gwen and like have this other life for a little bit. And then we get to like have this huge payoff of him with Zendaya again. And I think we'll all appreciate that moment, because when you make us wait for it, like absence makes the
heart grow fonder. And that's where this is what made it feel real. Tom Holland becoming Spider-Man, leaving behind Peter Parker in a sense. And the graveyard scene with Happy kind of finalizes that for you.
Fun fact, Matt. Guess what movie dethroned Spider-Man for number 1 at the box office this weekend?
The Last Duel.
I don't think that's in the movie theaters, and that bombed tremendously.
I know, I watched it.
It's also not Sing 2. That did not.
No.
That
was my second guess.
It didn't. It wasn't that.
Sing 2. No?
It was not that. It was funny enough. It was Scream.
No fucking way.
Yeah, Scream 5. Scream 2022.
Oh, you watched it though, right?
I have seen it a couple times, actually.
Does it deserve to beat out Spider-Man?
It is as good as Spider-Man. By no means is it as good as Spider-Man. But is there a fan base out there that loves those movies? Yeah. I think so. And is it a good thing that they've basically taken 10 years between movies each time? I think, like we just kind of said, absence makes the heart grow fonder, right?
Keeps you coming back for more.
And I think word of mouth helps too. So, I saw it on Thursday. I would tell anybody who is a fan of the Scream franchise as a whole that it's another worthwhile addition to the franchise.
Nice.
A franchise that I think has largely beaten Hollywood like horror tropes of being like bad as you progress through your franchise. I think by taking time and really finding stories that you can maximize by having those gaps of 10 years in between it and tell different stories within there has really helped. You've gotten interesting character growth for, a Dewey, played by David Arquette.
That's what I was going to say too. And being able to keep the cast together after taking a hiatus like that can be very difficult when you lose chemistry.
Definitely. So in this, making these big jumps, you get to see these characters grow, and it's you get to see what happened between Gale and Dewey's marriage, but it's from when they meet all the way up to now, they've known each other for 20 years, and their characters are in a completely different place.
When you said Dewey, all I could think of was Doofy.
Yeah, from Stabbed, or Scary Movie.
From Scary Movie, yeah.
Yep.
I was just thinking of the scene with the vacuum cleaner. Those two, I would imagine, would have a ton of chemistry, right?
Natural chemistry and everything. There's definitely, like I said, it's as a person who loves the franchise, it's probably my second favorite horror franchise. I think it was a worthwhile addition.
Cool.
They're good kills. The whodunit aspect that you go to Scream for was there.
It seemed more of a gory, even just from the trailers that we saw, it seemed like it was going to be more of a gory version of what we are.
It's definitely R-rated.
Yeah.
I think
to
my knowledge,
though.
I'm not saying a
bad thing at all.
To my knowledge, can you just stats guy? Can you pull up Scream 3? I think that's the only one that's PG-13, if I'm correct. The IMDb page may show us, or it might be on the side there somewhere. I don't know. Click on it. Yeah. But either way, so my rankings at this point, and I've put this on our Twitter at Good Taste Live. Okay, so maybe they're all rated R, but they're all fairly gory. But so my rankings, you could have seen this if you went to at Good Taste Live on Twitter. I have it ranked as follows: Scream 2, Scream 1, Scream 4. Scream 2022, and then Scream 3.
Are they not calling that Scream 5?
Nope.
Okay.
It's called Scream.
Scream, okay. Which I think, at least from what I can remember, I know number 2 is definitely the banger. Number 1, yeah, I could see that ranking. Okay.
No, number 1's incredible. That's
what I was trying to figure out, if there's really an argument between 1 and 2, but not really.
When I've told people that I have Scream 2 ranked higher, people are usually like, "Wait, what?" Because Scream 1 is really, really highly regarded, and the performances from a Skeet Ulrich and a Matthew Lillard in those movies are so incredible, and obviously you have these young stars.
I'm bleeding here, man.
Yeah, you really got me deep on that one, Billy.
Getting woozy.
That's awesome, but there's just something to me about the second one as a whole. It's the Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett deaths at the very beginning.
The opener
is awesome. The scene with the car crash where the killer's in the back seat and they have to get, or in the cop car with them.
Just the final scene where they're on the stage.
Yes,
right. Is just very. It's an iconic moment, I think, for scary movies, because any still that you take from that, it looks pretty cool.
So this movie ended up making $30 million on the weekend. When I saw it on Thursday, the theater was full. When I saw it again on Sunday, that theater was also full as well. So
so you did two-parter.
I've seen it
twice.
Nice job. Yes.
Any different takeaways the second time going?
There was some little nuanced things that you pick up that are little indicators on or extra red herrings that are trying to send you in certain directions on who might be the killers and things like that. So, I think it's worthwhile if you're a fan of the Scream franchise. If you're a horror movie fan, I would definitely take a look at it. Bring a shoddy or some shit. I don't know.
Be prepared, right? I would definitely steer you towards that movie rather than The Last Duel that I made reference to before.
Yeah, I've heard it.
I put that on as a movie that I was just going to watch while I was doing some stuff. And just a quick question. How do you feel about movies that tell stories from different perspectives? Like a la House of, what is it?
Crash.
Like Crash, yeah, actually. This time they do it from two perspectives of two of the main characters and then what the truth is. And the entire time, like, I already fucking knew this. Like, 2 hours, do something better. Terrible movie.
Generally am not a huge fan of those types of movies. There can be, like, Crash is a good indication of one that did it right.
I was thinking of Knives Out was another one, but I think I enjoyed Knives Out, and I think you did too.
Well, Knives Out was, like, one of my favorite movies of that year. I don't know if I think that's... I understand what you're saying,
of storytelling,
but it's not necessarily telling it from a different perspective as much with that. It's more it's him uncovering, like, having them retell their stories, and he's uncovering differences. You know what I mean? Like,
but you basically get to relive those.
You relive it through the way they want you to hear the story, and then it's up to Daniel Craig's character to give you the real events of what happened.
Yeah, it seemed like in The Last Duel, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon were basically just like, "Hey, you want to do a medieval movie and you want to kill some people? Oh, can we add rape? Well, that'd be cool."
I think it's more so who made it. It's a Ridley Scott movie,
film,
and I think a lot of those guys probably have him in high regard. We're not doing trailers at all this week, but I did want to just mention Death on the Nile comes out in a couple weeks, and I love whodunit movies. The same reason I love Scream, Knives Out, like movies like that. I love like trying to figure out who the killer is.
You're a huge fan
as you watch through it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Game.
Yeah,
you
sure.
are. Yeah.
Guess who?
Guess who? Yeah.
Guess who? Or
do I say who?
Or Clue? Which one were we trying to say?
I was talking Guess Who. I just said who. I put them both together. Shut up.
So I'm definitely a big fan of those kinds of movies. So yeah, I just want to say Death on the Nile's coming out in a couple weeks, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Death to trailers on this show. I don't think we're going to be doing them anymore, man.
Sometimes if it's the right one, I have no problem doing it. But we don't
if it's a teaser and it shows us a little nip, maybe we'll consider it. Mm-hmm. But we're going to jump right into. We're going to do a little bit of UFC talk. So. Pretty big event in the sense of 2 title fights happening this weekend. But outside of that, nothing really given on this weekend's UFC 270 card. So we'll jump right into the main and co-main.
So actually, we're going to talk UFC. And we're going to talk UFC 270. I did really want to ask, did you see the fight this past weekend?
I did.
Kattar versus Chigaze.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Fucking barn burner, bro.
Man. Shout out to Calvin Kattar for coming back, though. Mm-hmm. He's had some difficult fights before this one. And
he's always in tough scraps, but the Holloway one is a beating.
A beating in the worst sense. Like, we're talking a lot of that maybe shouldn't have gone as long as it did, but he comes back against Chigaze, who was a pretty hot and upcoming prospect.
He's on was it a 7-fight win streak at that point? 7-0 in the UFC 9-fight win streak, I think.
But I think this is one of those fights where both guys come out looking good.
I will agree with you in a sense, though. I will be interested to see if other people can implement that strategy against Chigaze. And I think in some ways, Calvin Kattar's still who we've known, since he fought Sabit or whatever, however long ago, this is who he's been. The guy's going to drag you into a war, into a dogfight. He's going to be there at the end of the fight, throwing just as hard back at you, and he's not going to quit. But the problem I think he's always going to have is he's not that fast. He's more of a gritty fighter. To me, they were making a lot of comparisons. I saw somebody compare him to Michael Bisping. He spent time in Stockton earlier in his career, and I see more of a Diaz brother in him.
I was going to say that, like his ability to just take one to give one, and deliver a bigger one, so to speak.
He fought in the space that he had to fight to win that fight, and it's a lot like how people fought Edson Barboza through a lot of his career, You'd see Barboza get into these barn burners, but eventually gas out because if you keep him on his back foot, those kicks are harder to throw. Those kicks take more gas out of you to throw them.
If he's not able to set his feet, those switch kicks to the legs aren't as bad.
But yeah, I just definitely want to, like, fights like that are You don't see them all the time, and it seems like we get really lucky at the beginning of some of these years that we just get these wars. Last year, I think, was Figurado versus Deivison.
It's too early in the year to even be considered the fight of the year towards the end.
The first fight of this trilogy we're going to talk about here, as we move into UFC 270, took place at the beginning of last year and stood all the way through most of the year as the fight of the year. No,
I think just like barely lost out towards the end of the year.
Gaethje and Chandler happened.
Yeah.
So just a fantastic fight this past weekend. But getting into the fights this weekend, let's go right into Moreno versus Figurado and build up to the main event.
Yeah, I think that while I'm looking at this is the third fight between these three. They're
these two.
Between these two, I'm sorry. They're all simultaneous, so there's no fight in between. These guys are picking up right from where they left off. Brandon Moreno came away with a rear naked choke in the third round in their last fight. This says it was in June.
You know what I was thinking? Well, you know what happened to me was the draw actually happened at the end.
In December, yeah.
So I thought it was early in the year of 2021.
Like, no, I remember this.
Yeah, I actually, as I was saying, it was like, I think it actually might have been the end of 2020.
But neither here nor there. From the first two fights that we've seen between these two guys, the first fight was always kind of haloed by the fact that Figurado had that little episode the night before the fight.
So we thought he wasn't going to make it to the fight, if I remember correctly. Yep. And it's also, the storyline that comes out of that is, nobody was really expecting Moreno to be there. And in terms of like being at the level to compete,
should have been fighting for a title, so to speak.
You look at the run that Figurado was on prior to that. He was really, really, really performing well prior to that fight with Brandon Moreno. And Brandon Moreno, just like he showed up and he showed what he can do. And now you come back to the second fight, and he has really cemented himself. I mean, this is a guy who was out of the UFC. Like he fought in the UFC, left. They brought him back after an LFA fight, and he's just been on a tear basically ever since. And the two guys he's drawn with, Askarov and Deivison Figurado, are the two top guys in the division, basically. Yeah. And he made good the next fight, to your point, with a rear naked choke after beating the shit out of Deivison.
That's what I was going to say. The rear naked choke doesn't even really summarize how that fight really went, because to get to the rear naked choke, he rocked him, 2-3 times in those first two rounds. Wasn't the fight that we thought it was going to be. We thought it was going to possibly go the other way, with Figurado being healthy, being the bigger guy in this aspect, being able to come in and defend his title. Man, Brandon Moreno threw a wrench in the works and has kind of been living the life of a superstar ever since, enjoying every minute of it.
Well, the UFC for so long has been searching for these champions of Mexican descent and Spanish descent, and you get it from time to time with the Cain Velasquez's and even Verdum, where he could speak both Spanish and Portuguese.
Yeah. I think people loved him more in Mexico, which is weird than they did Cain Velasquez,
because Cain was an American Mexican, right?
Yeah.
And to get a guy like Brandon Moreno, who does I think the UFC Spanish broadcasts for them, who is articulate and doesn't come off like a fighter, the same way we have Pops on the table here, that's what this dude does.
The amount of nerd photos that they show, and they're him versus the buffest dude you could think of, and they're the guy you think will kick your ass, the guy who will actually kick your ass, and it's hilarious. But to your point, when we look at what Brandon Moreno has become, so to speak, he's laid down this hell of a run in the UFC where he cements his status as being a champion through this fight. And now going back into it, where do you think this fight is going to go, and who do you think's taking it?
Well, before I say that, I think a big question I have going into this is, in the hypothetical event that Figurado wins, it's are we going to do a best of 5 series? How do we go about this at this point? Because it's very obvious if the best outcome for the I don't know what the best outcome is for the UFC, because it's not the division's a lot better than it was in flyweight, but it's not the deepest.
Best outcome for the UFC would have been Cody Garbrandt beating Kai Kara France.
Yeah,
because then that means you don't have to do a fourth fight no matter what. And you've already got your next contender.
A money contender.
Contender. That's what I mean. For the UFC, that would have been their best out.
Don't sleep on Kai Kara France is going to fight Askar Askarov. And
either one of them is going to be a bitch to fight.
But I just think, at this point, is it fair for Moreno to draw, win, and then lose and then not get a rematch when you've done everything you can to give fucking Deivison Figurado chances to get this done?
That is interesting. I guess it would depend on what's in the contract. Mm-hmm. Because if you're Brandon Moreno, you're hoping that your guys negotiated a rematch for you if you get a loss, because that's what Figurado did. Figurado knew going into the second fight, it could have been an issue. So he put a rematch clause in there. So it gets really dicey because outside of Askarov and Kaikar of France.
You also have Brandon Royval, who just fought this past weekend and won. And
but is Royval a guy you want to throw into the Lions
he's
Den
had some tough fights, and I think he's going to keep ascending. So, like I said, the division's talented right now. I just don't think it's like deep, so to speak, at the moment. But you asked me who I think is going to take this one. I will tell you, I'm picking both with my heart and my brain. I'm pulling for Brandon Moreno. I just think he's super likable and he's super talented. And, I love a guy who grinds it out and keeps coming out and keeps fighting and comes out the other side. These guys like Charles Oliveira, who it wasn't always perfect for them. At the end of the day, Deivison Figurado, he's a very powerful, explosive fighter. We'll see. Like if he hits him, it's going to be tough to keep going, of course.
Yeah, I think that any fight that you want to go into, you want to have more answers than you have questions. And with Deivison Figurado, we have a lot of questions. We don't really know we don't really know what he's like at his peak. Right, he's not this long-standing champion.
Yeah, but I think you got a good idea with the two Benavidez fights and that Alex Perez domination.
But I think that with Deivison Figurado, he has to win this, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think if you lose this, you stay relevant.
Well, he can't stay at 125, but I think I was going to say the bright spot for him. He's a big dude, and 135 he's going to probably be a little short, but he's going to be very powerful.
I think this fight, having to always prove yourself when everyone's doubting you, I think that this fight means more to Brandon Moreno, and I think that's why I'm taking him. Cool. So let's move on to the main event. We've got interim champion versus champion.
A pretty big grudge match. Well.
Oh yeah.
Former training partners,
and there's been plenty to say about the video of Francis Ngannou walking into the UFC event and just completely ignoring Cyril Gane.
I don't know why that's Gane, I guess, is somewhat offended by that, and I don't necessarily understand.
Doesn't make sense that he's offended when, if you're in that circle, you should probably know what's going on. So Francis Ngannou's got beef with one of Cyril Gane's trainers. And that's the big reason. That's what I'm saying. It got blown into big proportions.
Dude, even if we're respectful and we've had friendship in the past, we're fighting for a fucking championship. We're gonna be locked in a cage, and I'm gonna have to try and kill you. And I guess maybe just for being a fan of the Diaz brothers, as long as I have, that's what it is. We almost made it the whole time.
She's just at the end of it.
Give us 1 sec.
All right.
Thank you for joining us as always, Bailey. You're a welcomed addition to the podcast. We love you, as do the people. So say hello at home. Where were we, Matt? We were talking about them being know what I was saying?
Respect between guys. We're getting ready to fight for a title.
It's I've watched the Diaz brothers for too long and know that you can't always be friends with the people you're going to fight. And there's going to be respect afterwards. I imagine Ngannou seems like the kind of guy, as does Cyril Gane, where they're going to shake hands at the end of the fight, I imagine. But going into it, I think this is intriguing because it's going to be the thing that's always kind of a storyline with Francis Ngannou, the same way it is with Deontay Wilder. Maybe not the most technical person in the world, but he's got he's got a gift.
You are going to go down.
Yes, he's going to hit fucking hard. Although, did you see that who got it? Somebody who fought Derek Lewis and fought, it was Curtis Blades. Okay. Curtis Blades said that Derek Lewis is the person who's hit him the hardest. He said when Ngannou knocked him out twice, he's like, the refs what pulled him off of me. He's like, I didn't wake up till I was in the fucking ambulance when Derek Lewis knocked me out.
But that's more so about how clean the shot was, because Derek Lewis flatlined Curtis Blades because it was a nail on the hammer on the nail shot, right? Nail right on the button. Listen, I saw Francis Ngannou make a Pez dispenser out of a man.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me who hits harder, because at any angle, this man can and will take your head off. So I think that the difference for a guy like Curtis Blades is you've probably been knocked out a bunch, and it's probably difficult for you to really gauge who has the most power.
Definitely.
When we look at what Francis Ngannou has done since the loss to Derek Lewis, it's really just about the amount of time. We've talked a lot about Francis Ngannou just not having enough time in the ring to really show us that it's making a difference. But then we've also said, what difference does it make if you're able to knock guys out in the first round in the first 30 seconds?
Those gloves are very, very small, and like only one or two have to land.
So it is going to be a story of, does technique beat power?
Mm-hmm.
Because Cyril Gane, hands down, is probably the greatest striker in the heavyweight division right now. Some
Currently,
people would say in the UFC,
ever,
right?
Like as far as technical ability as a heavyweight, there's not a lot of strikers that are as good as this guy.
He doesn't move like a heavyweight,
No.
right? When we see him move, he's very fluid. So this guy's completely undefeated. He's 10-0. He's got wins over the likes of Derek Lewis, Alexander Volkov, JDS, Jairzinho Rosenstrike. So he has the names to warrant being here against Francis Ngannou.
He also, like he finished Derek Lewis, and like Derek, and he finished him on the feet. It wasn't like Derek Lewis has gotten beat by guys like Daniel Cormier, getting taken down and beaten up. But there's not a lot of guys that stand on the feet with Derek Lewis and win that fight.
Come away with it.
Yeah. So I think that right there goes and tells you a lot about how good Cyril Gane's going to be, and I think that's going to be the most interesting factor here. And I mentioned Deontay Wilder. Do you see this going maybe a la Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder?
Yeah, so
like that?
You nailed it, man. I think when we look at the two histories of the two fighters, Cyril Gane does have the time on the resume, right? We're talking 3 rounds, 5-round fights where he's been able to go on and continually lay pressure on guys and beat them pretty handily.
Fight where he wants to fight on the
fight
field.
where he wants to fight, dictate how the fight's going to go, and decide, in the case of Derek Lewis, when he's going to finish a fight. That's dangerous for Francis Ngannou, because if someone can have great movement and still be able to really pick their shots and pick you apart, it's going to really take Francis being able to land that big shot in order for him to win this fight. He doesn't have any other avenues, right?
Yes,
if this goes to the ground, I don't really see it going well for him at all. If this stays on the feet, you've got to land that big shot, a la Josh Koscheck, George St. Pierre type thing, where Josh Koscheck couldn't win the wrestling game and then very quickly realized, I've got to throw a one-shot bomb to finish this fight, and it didn't happen for him.
Never landed.
Right? So Stipe has shown that if you put pressure on Francis in the grappling game, you're going to do pretty well. It'll be interesting to see how Cyril decides to dictate where this fight's going to go.
We haven't seen a lot of people choose the poison of standing and banging with Francis Ngannou. And I think that is playing with fire a bit, and I'm sure that's what Cyril Gane's plan is going to be, to stand up with him. There's a lot of familiarity. Like we said, they were sparring partners previously as well. So that could lead to an interesting standoff as well here. As far as predictions go, I kicked us off last time, Matt. Where are you at on this fight?
This one, I'm always going to pick technique over that one shot. And I think that is always going to be difficult to do when that one shot is Francis Ngannou. But being the boxing guy, I know that if you land 20 punches with significant power and damage, it's going to lead to that one shot more than you throwing that one shot constantly and never really coming away with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got Cyril Gane coming away with a KO victory in this fight.
I see this going the kind of scenario of the bull and the matador here. I think you're going to get a lot of Francis blitzing forward with some sloppy combinations, potentially crashing into the cage, kind of how he knocked out Jairzinho.
Yeah, we've seen him throw from the ass a bit, and that's nasty. Like, that's not a good place to be in a situation with a good striker.
The thing is, Jairzinho backed straight up into the cage and ran into the cage and got knocked out when he had nowhere else to go. I think what you're going to see a lot here is Cyril getting pushed to the cage, but his footwork will allow him to circle off, and it's going to make it very frustrating at times for Ngannou. And I am, like you, going to choose technique over power, and I'm going to side with Cyril Gane being our new
UFC
undisputed heavyweight champion.
Yeah, interim champ takes the big champ strap. Leg kicks, I think, are also going to be a big thing.
Could be interesting.
He hurt Derek Lewis with leg kicks.
I think I'll rewatch that fight before this weekend.
All right, so
I haven't seen it in a while.
Aside from that, Lynn, I didn't jump into anything else because not a lot of big.
Yeah, I think a lot of these fights have come off of the card at this point. But the one that, like, really quick, just seeing names here.
Alexei Oleinik versus Greg Hardy?
No, because Greg Hardy, I don't think, is fighting. Broke his hand.
Oh, okay.
It's the Cody Stamann versus Saad. Yeah, exactly. So I assume that's a Habib product. Cody Stamann is a very, very talented 135er. Always comes in really big, but he has good stamina, and he's a tough, durable fighter. So that's one I would keep an eye on. But to your point, they're definitely selling this on being a heavyweight championship main event. I'm excited for it. Let us know if you're excited for it as well. Who do you have in the co-main and main event here? And is there anything we missed on the card that's standing out to you?
Yeah, I mean, those are the big questions. We're interested to hear them. Let us know what you guys think, but this has been a good one, Len. So what are you looking forward to this coming week?
Just the fights this weekend. I don't really have much else going on the docket. I can't think of what movies are coming out this weekend, nor is it really that big of a deal. I think we've gone long enough on this one today, Matt. I don't know if you had anything that you're looking forward to.
No, I just wanted to update the people out there who have been hanging around on the anime One Piece train with me. Episode 235.
They've hung around for a long fucking time.
1,000. So we'll see how this goes.
Jesus Christ.
But if there's anything else out there that you're excited about, anything else that you think we should be talking about and giving our insights onto, let us know. Otherwise, you got to hit us up on the socials, hit us up on the channel, and start where, Len? Maybe Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter, if you could. It's Good Taste Live. Like I said, you could have gotten your Scream rankings this week. I'll try to be live during the fights if I can this weekend. So see us on there. See if I think of anything funny to say at any points. Matt, you will be over on the Instagram world.
Yeah.
Where can they find us there?
We're going to be over on @ForThoseWithGoodTaste on Instagram. Haven't been as active lately. I apologize about that, but we're going to be dropping some polls. We've got some pretty funny things to look forward to. Just bought some new pops too, so maybe there's some merchandise to look forward to. Something to put on the docket. But where else can they catch us, Len?
So every week we release, or try to every week release, a video and an audio podcast. So you can find us, if you're watching us right now, obviously on YouTube, For Those With Good Taste. But you can also look us up on any of your audio podcast channels, such as let's think, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
Play Store,
iHeartRadio.
XM Radio?
Dude, there's always one that I fucking forget.
No, dude.
And it's like I sit there and it's like I go low, I go high. I'm always high. But then you know what I think? You just got to go low because it's right beneath these.
Can't stop thinking about nuts, dude.
Yeah, no, it's beneath
these nuts,
dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
And Deezers. So you've got quite the catalog to look forward to from us at For Those With Good Taste here in Good Taste Studios. We love you guys. Continue to come back and have fun with us. As always, Bailey says she loves you guys too. But drop a comment, drop a like, hit the subscribe button. Let us know how you're feeling. But until then, we'll see you guys next time.
Peace, love, and prosperity.
For those with good taste.